recorded and things like that for so many different shows and things, it seems like there's a thing involved. There's more of a thing than it has to be, and I don't think it has to be all that much. So as we all pop on, I'd like to welcome everyone to Bridges Live. Again, you can always reach me here at Bridges Live. I'm Dr. Paul. You can reach me at Dr. Paul W. Dyer at gmail.com. But more importantly, I like to have my guest. And guests are important because we share love. And it's funny because right before we came on air, maybe the air caught it before we moved on. We're like, what are we going to talk about? And it's about love, man. First, Shannon, please introduce yourself before we just get jumping right into the meats and bones of it, please.
So, my name is Shannon Harris. I am a Chicago native, but a citizen of the world. I've traveled extensively. One great thing that I am a participant of currently is something called audio pharmacology, which I trademarked in 2014. Started in 2012, trademarked in 2014. And what that is I guess a lot of people wonder how I got there to audio pharmacology. So just imagine growing up, with music and science, and then later on finding how they interconnect chords, frequencies, colors, and things like that. And then after studying traditional Chinese medicine and medical Qigong with a Kemetic organization, I began to want to align anything I touch musically or my life with the electromagnetic spectrum, which turned into audio pharmacology. Yeah.
To me, as I know, you're just talking in my love, my wheelhouse, my passion. I'm actually writing the physics of emotional sound education, meaning that. So the problem is that emotion is not a static. It doesn't just stand still; it moves, right? So to write it, we know that vibrational waves has a connection to all cells, and that's what cells move and vibrate on. I am trying to write the formula for how cells are acting in an organ.
Awesome.
The problem we have is space and time, right? Because people are react differently, cells react differently according to the clock, right? The circadian clock, right? So cells actually, they're totally different. You'll have a liver cell that be like this at 10 o'clock and be like this at 4 o'clock, right? So so to write that and what's the purpose? I actually don't know if it helps people who are getting. I don't think it helps the client as much as it may help the practitioner. And even the practitioner, if they want to start studying the understanding of what cells do and the time frame and the space, you still have to know the person and where they are in their time and their space. Because just because it's the time, their mental time is still at, they come to us at, say, like 6 p.m. because they want to have a class with us or a process with us, and they're still at 10 o'clock in the a.m. talking about, he pissed me off, right? So that time is, they're not the same. And the body's still reacting to, 10 a.m. going, yep, we're still mad, right? But you're from Chi-Town.
Yes, I am.
I was born in Cook County, man. Now,
really? Here's
the question. Are you a White Sox fan or a Cubbies fan? Because that lets you know what part of Chicago you're from.
Well, as I got older, I stopped following sports, but of course, a Sox fan.
Oh, okay, there it is. Hey, my family grew up on the South Side. My dad was a Black Panther in Chicago. My mother, we all hail from there. I did all my growing years in New York. I'm a New Yorker, but I was born in Cook County, and so still coming from that old Windy City there. So it's a blessing.
You still have family here?
No, my dad died. I still have an aunt that's still there. Yes, my sister,
okay.
my mother's sister, she's still there. She's still in the South Side. Yeah. My dad was in the Capri School District he did reform kids to get them back into school. He was a liaison between that and this. That's what he did. He worked with a lot of city kids and kids that were. So that's where his home was. That's what he loved. And so thank you for coming. And so let's talk more about the practice you do and how it works. Because I still think people don't connect that between what sound is and what they are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how I explain audio pharmacology is, imagine before you become aware of a health practice, right? So you go to the doctor and eventually the doctor says you have too much cholesterol or you need to cut out sodium or sugar. So before then, you're just eating, right? So what I call that is like emotional versus functional. So it tastes good, it looks good, it feels good, you just do it all because you kind of just feeding the emotions, the energy of the emotions. So when that doctor tells you, you know what, you have too much cholesterol, you need to cut down, or the sodium levels and all these different things, then you become a little bit conscious of what you're going to eat. So
you hope so. Some people are thick. Some people are thick.
You made a great point. So I'm laughing because I was there at one point and had to keep hitting my head on the brick wall until I was like, ouch, that hurts. And it really hurts, So after that, you begin to, when you go to the store, you begin to kind of read the labels, right? Mm-hmm. Once you're in that practice, you say, hey, how much sodium, sugar, carbs, what type of fats, and things like that. It's interesting. If you all see me moving, there's ladybugs that come and camp out at my house.
Oh, they're blessing you.
Yeah, they stay forever. And I try not to kill bugs, so I try to let them out. These is cold here, so they're here. So, excuse that. If they're flying to the light. So, so you begin to read what's in your foods, right? So with audio and energy, because sound in physics is mechanical energy, it moves things. How do you know what's in your daily, regimen, what you're listening to? What's like, say for instance, if you're in an area that's surrounded by a firehouse and you're hearing sirens and police cars and gunshots, all of these things not only affect the psyche, but they have a resonating effect on the body internally. So imagine if you knew what was not only in sound as in just thinking of it as music, but sound as energy. Mm-hmm. Every organ, every tissue, DNA, RNA has a specific frequency in order for it to exist. And how I explain that is through the electromagnetic spectrum, everything is placed on there. And you can see how X-ray sits on the same thing as the light in your house, on the same thing as the human cell in the body and our voice. I just did a great explanation of language as frequency in our last series of Afri-Futurinity. And everyone was like, "Whoa, I never thought about language like that."
And brother, I've been teaching language in the words of different frequency vibrations, and you're thinking you're using it this way, but it's resonating in a different. Woof.
Yeah. So with audio pharmacology, it's creating positive, functional sound, because there's really no negative and positive things. Things are just not functional. If it's not functional, it's not going to help you. And then you have functional. So creating functional energy medicine via the art of audible and inaudible sound energy is kind of what I do. So in traditional Chinese medicine, the different organs have different frequencies. So according to what is needed for a particular, you spoke of liver, so the person has anger.
Right.
If they need to either, and I go from a Qigong practice, so I have to slow down because some people don't know what Qigong is. So
I know.
Try to just think. So you can either tonify or purify, right? So if you don't have, like, if your organs, if some of the organs are depleted of energy, then you tonify them. If they have too much of something, then you purify. So according to what is needed, I use particular frequencies to assist the body in a homeostasis process. All I'm doing is introducing the frequencies back to the body.
Right.
The body already knows what resonates, how it resonates. Sometimes it gets off track because we're being vibrated and resonated with what's called force vibrations. So any sound, even things from Wi-Fi or satellite frequencies, television frequencies, all those things are going through our bodies and causing force vibrations on our bodies. I hope I did a good enough.
I've been doing this for a long time and teaching people what you're saying, and some people would say, Paul, you're over here. And I'm like, well, okay. And then I try to really come down a lot. So I do understand why. What I like, though, really what resonates is the passion you have. Because someone may not get it right now. They won't. And that's okay. But I hope people, if they want to ask questions, ask questions. You can ask them on YouTube, you can ask them on Facebook, and you can ask them on Twitter. You can ask questions. Or you could just, contact me, put it in an inbox when you see it and like it, and say, hey, Shannon, Dr. Paul, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's fine. Because I think in this pandemic, and more than anything, we've been saying it for years, I do a show called Mental Health Mondays, every Monday. We need people to say, I need help. I don't understand. You definitely need to just say, I'm not getting it. And that's fine. We're not asking you to just, boom, because this is not something you just get. This is something you have to be taught. And that's why I teach the science of it. And some people say, well, why do you do the science, Paul? And I say, well, my thing is, if you understand how the biology of the body is acting with what you are doing, would like to do, could do, thinking about doing, then you can then make an informed decision of how you're going to heal yourself. Because I love all the healing modalities out there. I really do. But if you don't understand why oils work, then why are you doing it? I can get a great oil mixture for you to feel relaxed for you at this time of night for you, but you give it to your girlfriend and your girlfriend's like, man, this thing is horrible. It doesn't work for me. Because it's not meant for her. It was meant for you. Your energy's different than her energy. So you can't just share things without knowing what, why, and where, and how come. So I totally get it. So let's go real simple. You know what? I really want to hit you in the gut here. Why is it so difficult to explain this to black people? It almost disturbs me, the fact that every time I've talked to a brother like you or sister like you, we have the hardest time explaining this to black people to get them to heal themselves, understand that we come from a genetic place that is encompassing. This is where our life's blood is. And yet they have pushed it away. And I know it's because they've been traumatized. I get that. But it's been it's very difficult for them to take on, it seems like.
Yeah, often my partner and I, we have these conversations, and that's why we're creating content.
Yeah.
To kind of recalibrate the planet. And when I say the planet, I know that's a big endeavor, right?
No.
Any little thing we do is doing something energetically. So
yes.
I look at it that big, the universe.
Yes.
When we're having these, whether they're dialogues or trying to introduce, whether this is a science to melanated people,
mm-hmm.
I find that it becomes easier to introduce it to them when I really go heavy into the arts.
Yes.
So if I talk about music and begin to dissect songs people know,
mm-hmm.
I have their attention. Now, whether they are going to change from that aspect, that's up to them. Now, if I just go hard on science, let me give you the background. My background's a little bit different than a lot of the people in my neighborhood. Since high school, I had the opportunity to work in corporate America.
Mm.
There was this organization that was called Black Computer Data Processing Association. So I used to compete in computer programming competitions. So these were your nerds, right?
Right.
But in school, I was pretty much an outcast. I remember I was thinking about this the other day when hip hop was out, and I did play sports. We was hooping, and we stopped in the middle of the court, and we were doing a cipher. And we had a circle, and we were just free styling, and all the hardcore. The area that school is not too far from my house, but that's where all the gangster disciples are. That's the hood.
Right.
So there and there, everybody's doing their thing, and I'm the nerd guy, and everybody's like, "Let's do." So it was my turn, and they gave me a chance because I was a nerd. So when they gave me a chance, they were like, because I was using all these scientific words that rhymed, and then making them make them applicable to some of the stuff they were saying. So they got that connection because we created a rhythm with the music. Now, would they go and look up those words? I don't know. But the reason why I'm saying that is science and tech, even with these STEM programs, is not a celebrated thing in the community. It's more sports and art. So when we're talking about science, people kind of we're aliens pretty much.
I'll let you continue, but I have a friend of mine who's actually trying to change that with his called Mission Fulfilled 2030, of getting more people into cyber technology. And he is mentoring black boys, giving them the computers. He is going to mentor. His goal is to mentor 10,000 boys and get them educated for 2030 in the cyber technology. So yeah, I'll shoot you that information later after all this. But yeah, so go ahead.
Oh, powerful. So when we are. So what I did, let me back it up. I asked the same question that you asked. I said, why is it that this stuff isn't not only cool in the community, it doesn't have some street cred or,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It should have some type of, accreditation, somebody who sings, who has a natural gift, who sings in church, a choir or whatever. People can say, you man, that's the singer there. Somebody who plays basketball, football.
Right.
They're given these accolades.
Yeah,
but
this credit.
Yeah. When it's a person who just invented something, I invented this not invented, but I created this little robot and all of these different things, and we were competing, but we were like the unspoken the Hidden Figures. So what I asked, I said, why is that? And I went back, and I remember seeing, 101 Black Inventors and things like that, reading those books. And then I began to realize, I said, it's a lot of us who are actually keeping the fabric of the planet and the universe together via Black invention, which is not spoken about.
Correct.
And we're like these mythical urban legends and bush legends. And it's crazy because I'm like, when you start going to list, like, how do we create all of this? And there's no accolades. There's Grammys. There's what's the Nobel Peace Prize.
Right.
But there's nothing that actually validates or accreditates these geniuses. In fact, I actually land an interview coming up with Dr. Gladys West, the inventor of GPS.
Yeah.
Because we talked about her on our episode.
That's awesome.
And those are the people I want to, bring to light before they pass on. But yeah, so when we're talking to Black people, they don't have enough mentors or role models who have showed them this scientific greatness. We talked about that in episode 4 about melanin, the chemical key to greatness. I mean, it's a serious, great thing.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't know about it. We'll go, Black is beautiful, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah. Also, one of the things it has been, and this is not going to be the show that says so much what the system has done to Black people, but just to make it a fact, they turned black magic to be so bad, and that took away the comedic sciences that came from our culture, right? So anything that had anything to do with that type of healing and understanding, it was deemed so dark that you couldn't even mention it or even think about wanting to study it. We're not even talking and then we get into the simplest form of taking away your voice of your song and your dance. Those songs had healing words in them with tones and vibrations. The Catholic Church took away their own voice. They don't chant. And the Gregorian chants meant something throughout the universe. And you have to go talk to a Gregorian monk for you to know that. Otherwise, so many religions in the different faiths, they don't even know that it exists. And even in the Hebrew faith, all their words are in song. It's all tones. Just like the Chinese language and the Japanese language, it's all tonal. Except the English language has no tone. It actually has a dead sound to it. Most people don't know that. So you start to get into these things and these educators, like, wow, once you hit them in the head, they're like, holy buckets,
Yeah. And another thing, too, we give street cred for innovation. So, we have some geniuses who walk around because they have the lack of. So this whole poverty struggle complex and being able to innovate yourself out of it, you get street cred for that. So you say, hey, I didn't have a wash machine, so I took a blender. Some cats out there took a blender and did this, and now we have one. And people go, man, yo, that's cool. But that is not going to get the guy who can dunk, you know what I'm saying, who can score like 60 points per game, you're not going to get that. I enjoy the notion of STEM, but I also would like the science to bridge with the spirituality.
Me too.
Because then we would reunite with the culture, and
right.
that's how we actually survived and been around so long, is because of that bridging, and we've separated it. And another thing is the separation of, the religion, the modern religions, with science. People think physical and physics is different from metaphysical.
It isn't.
And I was breaking that down, like physics is in the word physical and metaphysical. So knowing our physics, that's very important. There was no society from ancient Africa or in the world, that didn't know their physics in order to survive. Yeah.
And, so I'm so glad. And, with this time, I hope your family's safe. I hope you're safe. I know the pandemic has touched a lot of people. It's touched us all, and it will continue to touch us all. And when people are feeling less joyable, I'm glad they're able to come to you and to touch that joy within themselves, to start that healing process. Because until they start the work, they will stay sick. And they have to start the work. They have to come in and say, because once your heart is open, everything opens. Your body just wants to sing. And when I gave a talk at a cancer center about what the cancer cell does, it brings people into the sad murmur, because everyone's singing and dancing, and the cancer cell moves on over there going, like it whispers, and all the other cells go, "What did you say?" And it gets you. And then now you're all like this, and you're all sad. And then all of a sudden now it creates that environment, and that's where the cyst and things starts to come and start to open up. Because if your cells are singing, man, there's nothing. Just viruses just ping off of you, man. Because it doesn't permetrate. It doesn't. Your cells won't let it hook onto it. Now, does that work with the coronavirus? And not to get into the virology of the coronavirus, but this is a nasty little thing. So I would have to go into the lab to do that one. But if we can keep our immune systems up by creating a frequency, because most people don't know that if you fall below 200 megahertz, you're going to catch a cold. Now, you want to talk about the levels where people can be at, or where you've noticed that more people are at? Because I don't want to. Go ahead.
So, most of the people that I treat come in for like some of the most, I guess back pain, neck pain. So things from like on your phone all day, at a desk all day, ergonomics, breath, because once you're bent over too much, it causes the lungs not to fill up and things like that. And then, I noticed like pain management is a huge thing in the society versus the holistic approach of what are you eating every day? What are your thoughts every day?
Right.
Let's feel you out. Like, how you feeling about right now? And what I find that it's usually the immune system and things are compromised from the thought, like emotional stress. Then it starts going down and down and down, and then you have this, what I want to say, a avalanche type of effect, where things just the snowball is going down, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So to shift that, I had to go through that. I had bilateral carpal tunnel syndrome. I couldn't use both of my hands from working in IT and as a DJ touring with heavy vinyl and stuff. I was carrying mad records back in the day.
The milk crates.
I remember we used to, milk crates was a thing.
Right? Yeah.
That was worth its weight in gold. And like I said earlier, I think before we got on the call, I was hitting my head against the wall. I was like, ouch, ouch, and it just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. And I realized, I was doing regular Western medicine at the time. They were prescribing these things, and I would, from one, I would get like formations of like ulcers starting, and then from another, the digestion, and then it just kept these side effects, just kept. And what came along with the side effects was the emotions I had. I was just like, this sucks, life sucks, I began to, it was a bitterness.
Right. Now you're angry.
They saying this, I can't do this, and it was just, everything sucked. So my immune system sucked. I sucked the energy right out of the immune system too. Because what we got to realize is, a lot of times we think of these things as juju or black magic or foo-foo, but let's understand the science,
right.
Okay? The body main function is to repair itself and keep things in a homeostasis state. So the cells inside of the body, that's all they do.
That's all they do.
Yeah. Everything inside your body is wanting to heal. There's nothing in the world that the body isn't designed to heal itself from, even though it's harder to heal itself from because we're creating things that are just the body's not used to.
Correct.
When we look at the electromagnetic spectrum, it's not that these are new things. These new gigabyte energies and, X-ray type of energies, gamma ray energies, that's always been here. Mm-hmm. We haven't created the technology to cause us to overuse it, allowing the body not to repair, rebuild, and restore. So when we're trying to sleep and we got Wi-Fi on, the phone under our pillow, we're not getting enough sleep. Studies already said that. So the body is unable to repair and rebuild and restore itself. So now we're getting disease. That goes along with now your organs are being out of balance, which brings on these emotions, and then it goes in a circle. The organs out of balance, they show themselves as emotions. In the physical realm, you'll see body symptoms, and then also you study TCM, that's linked with different types of cravings. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then it just keeps going, and it just goes down, and then we say, well, what just happened here?
But they don't.
Pill is supposed to fix all of this. And it's like, no, the pill only helps your body fix itself. There's nothing that they can give you. The only thing that helps your body do something outside of the body that is surgery. Your body can't sew a finger back on,
No.
But it'll try to grow it.
It will definitely try to grow it. It always tries to grow it. It won't grow it because that's not how we're built. Because the way that the bacteria, the way it happens, and we're just too big. The way our body is built. Mm-hmm. People have asked me, because being on social media and trying to help with whatever, and I have a lot of things going on. But when I'm done with all this, I do a cleansing. After I shut everything down, I'm not talking about like the shower cleansing. I'm talking about a breath cleansing. I do a sealant breath, a push breath. So I do all these techniques to release that magnetic field and back into a natural state. Because if I didn't, I would take it all to bed and it would just be pinging all in my body. So there's a way you can still work your computer and watch your TV. You can still do all that. But then you got to remove yourself and you got to do like a cleansing. Just like if you were playing in dirt, take the shower. Well, this is what you call an energetic shower you can do. And and these are the things that you can teach them. And of course, they can learn. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like certain gurus, I forgot which one had said it. They say, we go out without taking a shower is bad, right? So we make sure we wash the body. Mm-hmm. But what about the mind?
Right.
Who goes and cleans their mind? Like, as much as we want to be clean out in front of people physically, inside is dirty. So we have to clean that as well. And that's what you're saying. You have to go cleanse. And everything. If this is really... people think this is difficult stuff, these sciences, but it's really not. It's just, think about it like this. Everything has to remain in balance. Mm-hmm. What would it take to take a pendulum that swings this way to not only swing way on the other way and like this, but to eventually stop here?
Right. So
then from there, we begin to get curious and say, how do we do that? Mm-hmm. And that's where this curiosity with science comes in. Mm-hmm. What is the science behind this? Meaning, how does it work? What is it? And that's it. I do that every day I'm sitting around asking questions. What, who, where, when, how, when. And then you begin to know physics. That's as it really is as simple as that.
I want to say, first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Shannon, for visiting with me here on Bridges and sharing your information, sharing your knowledge, sharing your passion. More than anything, I'm in love with loving people, but more than anything, I've always wanted my show to do three things. That's to give information, help people understand, and then from those two things, they'll take an action. And you just given a lot of people to digest, and because they read it, they hear these phrases, they may even had someone tell them, and yet they're still not asking, and you said it, they're not asking the question. How? And if they just come to one of us and say, well, how is that? Great. Because now you're ready. Right? Because once you ask the how, man, I can't wait. When people text me, inbox me, and they're like, I heard this, and how does it go? I get so excited. I'm like, oh, they want to know.
That's the same thing with me, man. This is what's interesting. My mom was like, you can talk a lot. And I'm like, Mom, I don't go out a lot. Like, when quarantine happened, I'm going to tell you, what people think is quarantine is my daily practice.
Yeah.
I'm always here either doing the meditative work or, some forms of Qigong or meditation, but also working, like designing things and building concepts and strategizing and things like that. So I'm more introverted in action. When people see me, though, because I'm a DJ artist, they see me online, but you don't really see me. They don't put it together. They don't really see me physically, somewhere. They see me online moving around. So my mom was like, I was like, Mom, no, the stuff that I'm researching and I'm at home studying and just my universe is being like opened in awe. I don't really have too many people to talk about that about. So when I have a class or workshop, like you said, you texting, I get super excited because these are things that are part of all of our lives. This is not to leave up to us or some, George Washington Carver. We all can participate in this conversation. And, I love it when I do get a chance to talk about it. And I get so excited, whether it's questions or just learning. Just being able to ask these questions and receive information and keep experiencing, more and more and more makes life very fascinating. We shouldn't be satisfied with somebody told us this how this is.
Right.
Most of the people don't even know how their cell phones work. They don't know what they are. When I say work, just email what I'm talking about.
Work.
How does it work on the inside?
Yeah.
What is it? What is your television? There's this thing, and this is how I begin a lot of my courses. I say, what we see, what we can't see, we don't believe.
Right.
In the electromagnetic spectrum, I just put something up the other day. We're only seeing with the eyes only 1/10, of a real reality. You can't really see light waves. You can't see energy. You know what I'm saying? And things like this. You can't see the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth signal. You know the difference, like because you
would know.
They're there.
Right. Yeah.
These things are our reality. So we need to question what they are and know it. Not just, I know how to connect my Bluetooth speaker to my phone so I can play my music. No, what is that doing?
What is that doing? Because, just, there's very few people that I can talk to on a regular basis. Now I have great friends and people I've studied with for years, and I reach out and we talk because there's always this studying, right? Like you said, there's always this education process and study. But when I'm thinking like we're talking about vibrations, and then I'm thinking, and then you can get into what you call fractals, right? And I love talking about fractals and plasma and how and people are like, okay, and I'm like, and then some people look at me, and then when their eyes roll back in their head, I'm like, okay, I've gone too far. I need to stop talking about dodecahedrons and how the cell formulates, and then they're like, okay, I'm out, weirdo.
I mean, this stuff is just very fascinating. So for instance, people who are not into this sacred geometry or, fractals and things, you're still learning it in math.
Yeah. You just don't know.
We talk about the platonic solids.
Right.
Right. This is a triangle. This is a circle. This is a square. This is a pentagon. What is this? Where did it originate?
Right.
And I think all it would take is some youth programs.
I agree.
Not called just geometry or whatever. No, we call it sacred geometry.
Yep.
And we go in deep into it.
Right.
Because it all comes from there. There's nothing in the society that isn't built on the structural foundations of this ancient science from Africa.
Correct.
And it's all built from that.
It's all built from.
Look at the dollar bill, the Washington D.C. obelisk, which is called the Tekken.
Yeah.
So many things. Like, I can just keep going. The architecture, how the numerology of the first colonies in America. All of these things have some type of sacred thing behind it. It came from somewhere. When we just participate in the world and society and life as a bystander, that's what most of us is doing. We push a button and just say it's supposed to work. And when you push it and it don't work, we go, well, get a new one or call somebody else. Sometimes you gotta, why isn't this working? Oh, there's this little button in the back I gotta, because the circuit went out or something, and you push that and it works. Sometimes you have to be curious. When I was a child, I used to take everything apart. My mom used to get so upset at me because she's like, why do you have to know how everything works? So I'm taking apart her hair dryers, and because I'm like, how does this work? And I'm taking it apart, and they're like,
what's funny, you took things apart and I named everything. I said everything's got something about them in life, like all the doorknobs and the door hinges, everything. I named everything, and my mother used to be like, I'm talking 4 years, I'm naming things, going, they have feelings too, because there's a connection to everything we are, brother. Yeah. Thank everyone for listening. We got so much more to talk about. I'm gonna have Shannon back on again. Anything else? Last thing you want to say? How can people reach you? Let's get that out there, and where they can ask you questions and get a hold of you.
Sure. So my website is www.audiopharmacology, AUDIOPHARMACOLOGY.com. I'm also at Audio Pharmacology on Instagram. If you type in Audio Pharmacology on Facebook, I'll come up. Or if you type Shannon Harris, I have like 5 accounts on Facebook groups, and so you'll find me. Just remember my face. You're gonna say, "Oh, this guy here." Also, I would like to encourage people to check out our new immersive audio songbook that my partner and I created. It's called Afri-Futrinity, Quantum Cosmic Futures. So what we do is we're bridging healing frequencies, dialogues that are about these hidden figures, these hidden black sciences, these hidden black people who are innovators and inventors. And we're also talking about different, constructs and things in our realities in a totally different way. We're bringing the science and things like that, even debunking what we consider as science, or what modern science consider as pseudoscience. A lot of that is pseudoscience. So yeah, I encourage you to check it out. We're very excited about it. It's a sci-fi because I'm a science person. So we're traveling in outer space, and I have an Afri AI. It's pretty cool. That is on SoundCloud. If you type in DJ Shannon Harris on SoundCloud, it'll come up. You'll see a cool animated image of me. Yeah, yeah. And audiopharmacology@gmail.com is my email.
Please come back again, Shannon. I'm going to have you back again. We talk back and forth, but as far as this public thing forum, let's the more we talk about it, the more it becomes natural for people to hear it, and then hopefully becomes then natural for people to ask the question. Because I think, as we know, people need to hear things so many times over and over before they're like, huh, and we'll get them there. We will get them there. Thank you so much,
sure,
brother.
I'll be back, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Man. Be safe.
Be safe. Ooh.